Back on board, GreenSportSports.com. Bruce Mitchell, Pro Wrestling Torch for years. How many years now, Bruce, is the Pro Wrestling Torch for you?
27.
Wow, it's a long run.
Wait, is this September? 27 years right now.
You're the senior columnist there.
Yes,
then.
I am.
That's got to feel good. How long has Wade Keller had the Pro Wrestling Torch going?
I want to say 30 years now.
And you joined him. You've been there 27 of those.
Yeah, he started it. He started at a young age and has built a nice business. And of course, keeps the whole key to all this is keeping up with the technology, keeping up with the different platforms.
PWTorch.com is all you have to remember.
Yeah, and follow me on Mitchell PW Torch on Twitter and PWTorch.com, PWTorch.com/GoVIP. And also, got to follow Wade Keller on Podcast One, a brand new show on Podcast One, 4 shows a week. They're free. Go to iTunes and subscribe.
Who's got the best podcast, Bruce? Is it Bruce Mitchell or Bruce Pritchard?
Me.
Okay, Bruce Mitchell. I thought it was a Bruce. I couldn't
Bruce
sure
Pritchard,
which one
yes.
it was. Yes.
Now, are you aware of the Bruce Pritchard, Bruce Mitchell dynamic?
No.
Okay, good. Because he is late. Yeah. So Bruce, I'd have to say my good friend Conrad Thompson, my not so good friend Bruce Pritchard, and something to wrestle with. I'm a regular listener to it, and same thing with Tony Schiavone coming back with Bruce.
Tony came back. You sure? Tony's going to, I think, do some announcing again sometime soon. He's got one coming up with Major League Wrestling, MLW.
Yeah.
I think
he started where you started me at WKW.
Summit Avenue.
I met you, on Summit Avenue. He started his radio career, I believe, there.
Tony would come to visit us on occasion there too back in the day. It was kind of interesting.
He sure did. So yeah, where was I? But yeah, that's. Greensboro's involved in this Bruce Pritchard thing. So Greensboro's the name of Greensboro comes up from time to time. Just came up on the last show.
Well, you did a show with Jim Ross. I made a point to listen to that show a while back. You were on with Jim on his broadcast.
Time to time.
Yeah.
Sure did you hear the Conrad Thompson Ric Flair show with me?
No, I heard Conrad Thompson, Ric Flair a few times. Did not hear the one with you on there though.
Go into YouTube and just put Bruce Mitchell podcast Ric Flair. You'll see it. Don't play it around your church friends. I'll put it like that. So,
right, I've learned a few times about some of the wrestlers their interviews on YouTube.
Quite the deal. So yeah, so
in the Ring of Honor now. What about these guys? We were talking about Jay Lethal earlier, and I'm thinking probably too because we talked about PWTorch.com. Say it over and over again. You just sell that brand. I was doing an interview downtown a while back at the News and Record parking lot. They had a downtown roundball challenge coming. It's called downtownroundball.com. And everybody keeps over and over again. I said, where did I learn this? Where did I learn this technique? I said, wait a minute. I learned this from Jay and Mark Briscoe. RingOfHonor.com. Ring of Honor. They do a good job selling that product.
Well, Vince McMahon pronouns. I mean, that's Vince McMahon. You say the full name of the wrestler every single time, and that's just to get the name. Don't say he, don't say you, any of that. Just get those brands over. Yeah, that's it's obnoxious, but it does work. I mean,
how about all those guys going to Vince McMahon from Ring of Honor, because you got tons of guys that are pulling out of there?
Well, I don't know about tons of them, but yeah, I mean, this was going to happen earlier, but there was some there was some legalities back and forth between WWE and Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor had enough legal basis to block some of this because they didn't feel like they had a legal case to make that WWE was tampering with their talent, with their contracted talent. So it took a little while to get some of these guys in. But I mean,
when you get guys like Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, you get Roderick Strong, you get Adam Cole, you get Tommaso Ciampa, you get on and on the list goes. That's some of your better talent that's left.
It is, and the one thing though about wrestling today, there's a lot of there's more dedicated, talented, very serious-minded wrestlers trying to carve out a career than there are spots for them. And so Ring of Honor, I don't know that it's hurt them exactly. They really, by picking up Cody Rhodes and what's going on with the Young Bucks and kind of that.
The Young Bucks have to be the best tag team in wrestling today. They have to.
You're a Young Bucks guy, huh?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah.
Now do you have God, I should have brought it down here.
You should have bought my Super Kick poster for me.
You got your Super Kick poster. I've got. You don't have the fidget spinner though. I have the Young Bucks fidget spinner.
I've heard about that, but I don't have one.
I think that is like the ultimate piece of Young Bucks memorabilia. So
they're doing well for themselves.
They're doing well for themselves, and so I think that has helped Ring of Honor. But also Ring of Honor there's a lot of unrest with the booking that's going on, the quality of the television shows, and then
they lost some behind-the-scenes guys and some of the up-front guys too, like Steve Corino. They lost Nigel McGuinness. business. You just lost the announcer, the main guy there, done it so long. Kevin Kelly's gone. Got new people taking over. Ian Riccaboni, pretty good energy. Then you got visiting, or I guess occasionally guest color commentators. But they, we talked about all the people they lost.
There's been a lot
of turnover. Change to that surface there.
And some of it is looking, guys looking to not being all that happy and looking to land. If you're Steve Corino, land and be a trainer in WWE.
I think that guy would make a great comment. I think he would be one of the better commentators for color commentary that they would have at any level of wrestling. I like hearing that guy because he just had that different approach.
Yeah.
He knew all the science of the sport, knew the science of the sport, plus he knew how to kind of get people fired up, worked up, and get them stirred up. And you want that from a commentator.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an interesting thing. But I think that Ring of Honor is not, has got, stopgap, so that
they've got Dalton Castle. I think is a good performer.
Yeah, Dalton Castle does
a good job.
It's tremendous. That's and something to see live.
It's an interesting character too, kind of a new type character in some ways.
Definitely. Yeah. So I think that's when you see him live, and it shows up on pay-per-view, it shows up, on their shows on the Sinclair network, but it's a WrestleMania level gimmick. I mean, you can see WWE really taking that if they wanted to.
But didn't they try to get the Briscoe brothers a few times? The Briscoe brothers looked at them a few times over the years.
There was some. Social media is an interesting thing, and you can go on social media and really, particularly if you're in the public eye, and hurt yourself with the wrong
comments,
with the wrong kind of comments. If you're wanting to work for a major corporation, there's certain things that you don't want to have sitting out, and then, it's a generation of I express every thought I have, and those two things can kind of combine. I also wonder with them, there's, the kind of contracts they're being offered, sometimes people think, you go to NXT and you got to be making more than whatever you'd make anywhere else, and that's not true.
That's kind in some ways, that's like a developmental level, isn't it?
And it's a developmental.
Some of the guys that go there, like a Bobby Roode, or guys that go there, just one example, they go there, they kind of redevelop and repackage those guys and kind of retrain those guys to do it their way too, right?
They can, and but they also need guys to help the brand of NXT, stay hip and current, and so some of those guys get better contracts. Shinsuke Nakamura didn't spend 2 years over there getting paid $60,000 a year, but they and minus expenses. I mean that's not part of it, but I mean they have some things to do, but what I'm trying to say with the Briscoes is they are chicken farmers for real in Delaware, and so they have a business, they have families, and they want to make enough money where if you're going to send them to Florida and stay there, you've got to offer them a substantial amount of money to do that, and then there's also just the fact that because of their style of wrestling, can they pass the wellness test, particularly can they pass the concussion protocol?
And they're a little older than some younger guys too. They're going to be a little beat up because they've wrestled a hard style of wrestling over the years.
Exactly. So that comes into play, but you also look for, to me, as far as the health of professional wrestling and developing new talent, not just have them feeding into WWE, that acts are finding a way to not only make a living but to thrive.
Well, the Young Bucks must be thriving because they've never gone to. The Young Bucks have to be thriving. They're doing the independent scene.
They sell a lot of those T-shirts, and I see you hanging around Hot Topic over at Four Seasons Mall all the time, Andy. I see how you're dressed, and you dress like the cool kids dress. Those Hot Topic T-shirts, they're the second most popular T-shirt in that chain of stores. So
well, I got to stop right now. I got to be honest with you. I do have my Silas Young pullover top at home. I use that my sweatshirt during the cold days. Silas Young, the last man. He's the last real man. He has to be.
Yeah. Well, I think you and him.
Exactly.
In my estimation, Andy Durham and Silas Young. I like Silas.
That's a throwback for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure, definitely. So. I think that I think that you have a lot of people doing grassroots, working their merchandise, working what they've got, and they look up to the Young Bucks. And I think the Hardys would have liked to kind of keep going with the broken Hardy gimmick and keep going on the independent scene, but the situation was that their best bet ended up being going back to WWE. But there's a lot with that, and you look at. I do like the idea of throwing back to the Four Horsemen of Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and
get that Ring of Honor faction together.
Kind of having a faction and beating up people, and I like that. I also like that. I think that I think that William Regal does a tremendous job in his role, and I like that when you watch NXT, he's out there saying, we're not having this. Like, you're going to have to, kind of pushing back against it. It makes it seem more heelish.
I'd say a guy back in Ring of Honor days, really, I thought was their top guy maybe a couple of summers ago was Kevin Steen, now Kevin Owens. I don't know how well he's been used in the WWE, but boy, back in the day.
Yeah, something happened with him last night.
Yeah, what happened last night?
Yeah, he headbutted some old man, is what I heard.
From the crowd?
No, not from the crowd. The guy came into the ring and started giving him a hard time, and he headbutted him and left him bloody. And I believe it was Vince McMahon.
Oh, so he's working with the boss. So that's a pretty good package if you're working with the boss.
When you get to, Roddy Piper didn't get to knock out Vince McMahon, and Ric Flair didn't get to knock out Vince McMahon. Steve Austin did, but
that's good for Kevin
Owens got to smash him in the head, and and I guess he's going to lay hands on. I guess Shane's going to get the revenge. I think Shane might win this match with the old man, trying to get revenge for the old man, who usually he does the stump bump and loses. So we'll see, the big bump and loses. But I thought that I have another job and I get up early in the morning.
First grade teacher, Archer.
So yes, sir. So
yes.
I was up early, so I just saw the highlight of the headbutt, but I watched about an hour and 15 minutes of the show last night. But I thought Kevin Owens was remarkably entertaining and still kept his heel persona. I love the part about the first thing I'm going to do is fire Sami Zayn. Like, the guy's giving me the hardest time. I'll fire him, get him out of here. And then, the history of those two, and they played off the history of those
stuff.
Two. So, I mean, it was, something that you can enjoy.
El Generico, right? Mr. El Generico?
El Generico.
Yes.
Something you could, if you knew the story story behind the scenes, you could enjoy it at kind of a meta way of, these two guys are now on top, and they're working with each other. And
from the Ring of Honor guys that have gone to the WWE, who has probably done the best so far?
I don't consider, AJ Styles worked for them, but I don't consider him that.
Right.
Seth Rollins, you got to kind of put in there.
Going back a few years.
CM Punk. It's CM Punk, I'd say.
How about from
Kevin Owens in the last generation? Kevin Owens has done very well.
What about the TNA days? What about the TNA guy that's done the best since he's made the move, going from TNA to WWE?
Well, to me, the one that I look at and that's been surprisingly, and I've been really happy to see, is I thought Samoa Joe, was blocked a lot of times in TNA. That just the tough guy who comes across as a badass, who wrestles like a badass, very credible. And when they were making real progress in the metrics and the money with him and Kurt Angle, it just got stopped. And didn't have the right friends or whatever it was, and wasn't allowed to be who he could be. And then he came, did a very good job in NXT, and then he really did well.
What about Eric Young? Is he still getting any shots?
Eric Young with Sanity and NXT, doing, he's a craftsman, in that he can play just about any role. I think that he was I got tired of him in TNA. I thought he was used in too many different ways and kind of lost that. But as far as like a guy in an NXT and a developmental deal that can work with any kind of wrestler and work with young wrestlers, I think he's just about perfect. And he may up in on the main roster, we'll see. But he's it's been interesting. I haven't seen him doing any reality television shows either. But very good talker, very good at whatever role you want him to play, and good in the ring too.
What about from your standpoint? When's your next article coming out inside the Wrestling Torch? When's your next podcast coming up on pwtorch.com? When do those all come out?
Wade Keller and I were doing a podcast last night when Andy Durham called and interrupted us, and that was cool because I hadn't heard from Andy in a little while, so that was good to connect back up. And so that's up on the VIP site, pwtorch.com. Go VIP. I wrote an article last night right before I started talking to you about. I've written a series of articles on this showdown, promo showdown between Roman Reigns and John Cena, and the back and forth there. So I thought that I'd been finished with it, and then Monday night it seemed to crop up its head again. So I wrote about that, and there'll be another hour of Bruce Mitchell audio show, the second longest podcast of any type, a weekly podcast of any type. We've been doing that for 14 years. It kind of stunned me when we figured that out. So that's there, that's there. And as I said, Wade Keller on Podcast One. I'll be appearing semi-regularly with him on that, and look for that. That's free. Download it. Give us a 5-star review and all that good stuff. And so,
when it's not your own, what's your favorite podcast to listen to out there? When it's not your own, I
listen to Katie Vick is Alive, the awfully named.
Is that the one with Britt Whitmire?
Britt Whitmire. Okay, I listen to that, and
okay.
I listen to my good friend Conrad Thompson and Bruce Pritchard and Tony Schiavone, back and forth, even though they disparage my name. I listen to, I'm a Dave Meltzer guy, so I listen to Wrestling Observer Radio and listen to that regularly. I have Steve Austin on my list. I have J.J. Dillon, just started a new one, and listen to him from time to time. I've listened to some of the Studcast with Ron Fuller. That was really interesting because I'm listening.
Stud Stable.
Because of that family
back
and that history and all that. He's just started. Who else I listen to? I listen to Jason Powell on ProWrestling.net.
Well, I think there's going to be a new one out in about 3 or 4 weeks, or maybe they may wait to the first of the year. The Barry Cohen is Back podcast is supposed to be coming out soon. So
you're making that
I'm looking forward to that one. That should be quite something.
Now he should do what he did back in the day. He was on the old cable access, and he would talk about all the criminals in the Triad area and show their pictures and all that. Yeah, that was something. You think Barry Cohen's going to jump into the
I think you'll have to jump into that.
I would listen to
that arena.
He was quite the he was one of those guys that would I was one of the assassins, and you go nod your head and say sure you were, and had his independent wrestling background. But yeah, I'm glad to have broken the story to you, the Gravedigger from New Dimension Wrestling. So I hope that things work out for that family though.
Bruce, good job as always. We'll see you at Archer School. We'll see you at pwtorch.com, and we'll see you soon on all the different podcasts you're working with. Good as always. We'll do it again soon. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Andy.
As we close, I'll say it's as good as gold.
Absolutely.